When I was little, my grandma often said, "Listen, my dear, if you want a great harvest, do as our ancestors did." And she was right, their garden always thrived. She never relied on store-bought fertilizers or fancy tools, yet her plants were always lush, green, and full of life. Over the years, I realized that her wisdom was not just folklore, but practical knowledge passed down through generations. Let me share some of her best secrets that actually work, so you too can grow a thriving garden without relying on chemicals. Grandma never planted randomly. She believed that the moon had a significant impact on plant growth. "Look at the moon," she'd say. During the waxing moon, she planted crops that grow above ground: tomatoes, cucumbers, beans, lettuce, and peppers. During the waning moon, it was time for root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and beets. At first, I thought it was just an old superstition, but later I discovered that science confirms this idea. The moon's gravitational pull affects water movement in the soil, influencing how well plants absorb moisture and nutrients. By following this simple rule, she always ensured the best conditions for her plants to thrive. Before planting, Grandma always soaked seeds in a special solution made of wood ash and water. She would mix 1 tablespoon of ash per liter of water and let the seeds soak overnight. This protects them from disease and makes them stronger, she'd say. And she was right. Wood ash is packed with minerals like potassium, calcium, and phosphorus, which help seeds germinate faster and resist fungal infections. Today, gardeners still use this trick to improve seedling strength without the need for chemical treatments. In the corner of the garden, Grandma always had a barrel filled with nettle infusion. "This is the best food for your plants," she'd say as she scooped up the dark green liquid. To make it, she would take a bucket full of nettles, fill it with 10 liters of water, cover it, and let it ferment for about a week. The result was a powerful natural fertilizer that boosted plant growth and improved resistance to pests. Before using, she would dilute it at a 1:10 ratio and pour it around the base of the plants. This homemade fertilizer provided plants with essential nutrients like nitrogen, making them healthier and more productive. Garlic was another one of Grandma's secret weapons. She always planted garlic between rows of vegetables, insisting that it kept harmful insects away. "Don't be lazy, do the same. Aphids, slugs known of them, will come near," she'd say. And she was right, their plants were always strong and untouched by pests. Garlic releases special compounds called phytoncides, which naturally repel insects and even prevent some fungal diseases. By simply adding a few cloves of garlic around your vegetable garden, you can reduce the need for chemical pesticides and keep your plants safe. Grandma also had a special trick to speed up plant growth: yeast fertilizer. She mixed 100 grams of yeast with 10 liters of warm water, added 2 tablespoons of sugar, and let it sit for a few hours until it started bubbling. Then she would dilute it in a 1:5 ratio and use it to water her vegetables. "This gives them strength," she'd explain. "Yeast is rich in beneficial microorganisms that improve soil health, stimulate root development, and enhance nutrient absorption." Using this method, her plants always grew faster and produced more fruit. Every spring, Grandma buried potato peels in the soil. "Don't throw them away, they're food for the earth," she'd say. Potato peels are rich in starch and essential nutrients that decompose and nourish the soil, making it more fertile. This trick was especially useful for crops like tomatoes, zucchinis, and cabbage, which benefited from the slow release of nutrients over time. Even today, many experienced gardeners continue this practice to improve soil health naturally. Another one of her simple but effective tricks was mulching. Instead of throwing away grass clippings or weeds, Grandma would spread them between garden beds. "This keeps the soil moist and stops weeds from growing," she'd tell me. And it worked. The layer of organic material helped retain moisture, reduced evaporation, and slowly decomposed, enriching the soil with nutrients. This technique is particularly useful for plants like tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers, which need consistent moisture to produce a healthy harvest. These methods have been passed down for generations, and they truly work. The best part is that they rely on natural, readily available materials instead of expensive fertilizers and pesticides. Whether you're an experienced gardener or just starting, incorporating even a few of these techniques can make a noticeable difference in your harvest. Have you tried any of these in your garden? Let me know in the comments.